It's that time of the year again where me and many others end up looking like either geniuses or complete dumbasses at year's end because of the predictions we make for the upcoming NASCAR season. I got all of my frustration out about how NASCAR has been lately, and I'm ready to move forward and hope that 2025 is much better. I got 20 predictions listed, so let's just go ahead and just dive right into them. Kyle Busch will finally become a Daytona 500 champion this year, and it will be the only win he gets this season. Yep, Kyle Busch is about to get his 1998 Dale Earnhardt Sr. on by finally winning the race that eluded him for 20 years and then proceed not to do shit else for the rest of the year. RCR has been really fast at the super speedways with the Gen 7 car. Busch came close to winning this race a few years ago, but a late race caution and bad restart stopped that from happening. Also, KFB is just extremely hungry to win a race. He's riding a long winless streak, and what better way to break that streak by winning the sport's most prestigious race. I think he finally gets it done this year. All 3 RFK cars will make the postseason this year. Yes, you heard that right. RFK is now a 3-car organization, and I don't think people have too much doubt about Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher making the playoffs, but I think people are doubting Ryan Preece. Up to this point, he's never sat in good equipment, at least in the Cup Series, and here's his opportunity to prove to everyone that he can perform when he has the equipment underneath him. I don't know about a win, but I think he'll be pretty consistent and squeeze his way into the chase. I think RFK will be a step above last year. Brad Keselowski always improves the organization, and he's done that with RFK, so expect that organization to progress even further in 2025. Chase Briscoe wins 4 races in his debut season at JGR. Probably a surprise to some people, but I always thought Chase Briscoe had the talent, he just didn't have top-notch equipment. He joined SHR right when they started falling apart. But even during that time, he managed to get 2 wins and make a deep chase run in 2022. Now he finds himself with a powerhouse organization in JGR, and he's replacing Martin Truex Jr., who's off enjoying retirement. And this 19 team isn't as bad as some people make them out to be. I feel like Martin Truex was not at his best the last 2 years or so, which held him back. I know James Small gets criticized a lot, but he can put fast cars on the racetrack. He's just not the best strategist. I feel like Briscoe would carry this team to success. The first half of 2025, they'll try to get that chemistry going, and then the second half of the year, I'm expecting this 19 team to really take off. The Chicago Street Race will finally be a dry one for the Cup Series. There's no way this race ends up having a downpour 3 years in a row. I'll be shocked. I feel like this is what kept this event from being truly successful. If rain stays away and we get a classic race on top of that, it'll be a hell of a way for this race to go out because they're most likely getting away from this event next year and will have a street race in San Diego just from what's been talked about up to this point. So fingers crossed that rain stays away for not only this race, but for all of the big events this year in general. I think we'll see 3 first-time winners this year: Carson Hocevar, Ty Gibbs, and Todd Gilliland. Carson has shown that he has a lot of raw pace, and I think Spire is going to take another step this year. They got Rodney Childress over there now. It seems like this team is a mini Hendrick. And all of this might just be enough to get him into victory lane. Just don't do anything stupid, which he has a tendency of doing so. Ty Gibbs had a solid rookie year and then dealt with the sophomore slump. He started the year off solid and was actually leading the points after the first few races of the season, but lots of mechanical failures was what held him back last year, and I would like to think that doesn't happen to him as often this year. He's in a JGR car, the dude is very talented, and I think he'll finally get that first win this year. And with Todd Gilliland, he's going to be in the flagship car at front row, which is the 34, and I think it's going to be a little bit more focus put on him since he's now the veteran guy over there. Front row in general has made big improvements. They're going into their second year as a Tier 1-4 organization, and that's going to help. And with Todd, he's improved as a driver. I think he gets a super speedway win somewhere, and I think that's very realistic because of the speed this team has shown on super speedways in recent years, especially in qualifying. Someone this year is either going to get close or eclipse 30 top 10s in the season, and I think that driver will be Chase Elliott. Something that hasn't been done since 2007 by Jeff Gordon. I think when you look at who's been the most consistent driver in the Gen 7 era so far, it's been Chase. He's not the most flashy driver, but he's steady Eddie. He finishes races and let races come to him. He hasn't had the speed that some of his teammates has shown in recent years, but I noticed towards the end of 2024, the speed for this team picked up. And I think if that carries over to this year and Chase continues to be himself, which is smooth and steady, I think he can get somewhere between 28 to 30 top 10s this year. I know that's a very difficult thing to do, especially nowadays with how wacky the NASCAR schedule is, but if anyone can accomplish that, I think it's Chase Elliott. A JGR driver is winning the championship this year, and I think their best two bullets will be Chase Briscoe and Christopher Bell. Ty Gibbs will win a race this year, like I said, but competing for a championship, I don't think he'll get there this year. And then with Denny Hamlin, well, more on him later in this video. It'll be a JGR car that will end the Penske dominance when it comes to closing it out for the championship at Phoenix. Daniel Ricciardo will run a NASCAR race in Mexico. It could be the Cup Series, it could be Xfinity, but I think he'll be there that weekend as a driver and not a spectator. Daniel Ricciardo's F1 career seems like it's over, so I think he'll start dabbling into other things like NASCAR, and if that ends up being the case, it's just going to increase the buzz for that weekend. From one Daniel to another, I think Daniel Hemric will win multiple truck races this year. Yeah, I know what y'all thinking, why have a prediction like this when he only has one NASCAR career win to his name, and funny enough, led him to winning a championship. Well, Hemric has shown time and time again that he's good. He's not a scrub. He can run top 5, top 10, lead laps. He just has trouble closing races out. He's going back to the truck series, and I think it's the perfect fit for him. He's joining Bill McAnally Racing, who's been on the rise in trucks and just came off a great season with Christian Ekins, who put up some nasty numbers in 2024. I think Hemric is capable of doing that as well and can win. Yes, that team is losing Charles Dinky, who was the crew chief for that 19 truck the past few years, but I still think the speed will be there. Daniel Hemric has some Cup experience, Xfinity experience. Yeah, I think he's going to take everything he's learned and show out in the truck series this year. I see him winning 2 to 3 races, which means, yep, we're going to see some backflips. Isabella Robusto will win multiple ARCA races. I don't know how far Isabella will go in her NASCAR career. She could win a few ARCA races like Haley Deacon did and then flame out, or she can end up surpassing her and truly become a top prospect. She's only made 4 starts in the main ARCA series, but she's impressed me with the very little that's there so far. She had a winning car at Phoenix and then got to 3rd at one point in the race, but the race was called short due to rain and she never got the chance to see if she can finish the job. She also won the pole at Kansas late last year, and it was her first time on a 1.5 mile track, so that's pretty damn impressive. Every ARCA start I've seen her in, she usually runs top 5. She's going full time this year, driving for Venturini Motorsports, which is the best team in ARCA, and after seeing her impress in the few starts she has, I don't think she just gets her first win, but I see her winning multiple races. She's only going to get better in these cars, so I expect her to truly contend all season long and maybe compete for the championship. The Rockingham Xfinity race will be a sellout. If you follow this channel, you know that I'm a huge fan of Rockingham. The anticipation for that entire weekend, for me at least, is going to be through the roof. I think ARCA and trucks will have solid crowds, but Xfinity will sell out. The racing is great in that series. You may get a big name or two that ends up drawing more attention and persuade people to attend that race. And come on, the capacity for Rockingham isn't that high. I would like to think they can sell out even for a Xfinity race. If the Cup Series goes there next year, which I'm praying for, I have no doubt it will sell out. These lower series races need to have good numbers, not just with the attendance, but hopefully with the TV numbers as well, to persuade NASCAR to take the Cup Series there in 2026. Denny Hamlin will miss the NASCAR playoffs. Yes, that is very bold for me to say, but let me explain. First of all, Denny is getting up there in age. The dude is 44 years old going into the season, and father time usually creeps up on you. And I don't see him being a Mark Martin or Harry Gant either. He got 3 wins last year, but those wins came very early in the season, and then he was shut out of victory lane for the last 6 months of the season. Denny experienced a resurgence in his career when he got paired up with Chris Gabehart in 2019, and going into this year, he's losing him. He's getting paired up with Chris Gale, who's an okay crew chief, but I don't think they're going to have that magic that Hamlin and Gabehart had. Also, Denny has a lot of distractions going on. Team ownership, the lawsuit, and a bunch of other things that takes away from his driving. Plus, NASCAR is so damn random nowadays. Look how many people we didn't expect to win races last year, locking themselves into the chase because of that. I can see Hamlin being a guy that's not terrible, but getting bumped out because of the amount of unexpected winners we can see this year. Kinda like what happened to Martin Truex in 2022. I think he'll get a win this year, but it'll be after the playoffs had already started and he'll be on the outside looking in. I remember last year I said he'll start to regress, and at the start of 2024 I was looking kinda dumb, but I think this year will truly start to show that he is regressing. SVG will win 2 Cup races. Shane Van Gisbergen is going full-time Cup racing this year, driving a 3rd Trackhouse car. And while yes, it's going to be a big learning curve for him at the ovals, I think he's going to pick up right where he left off last year with the road courses. He had the car to beat at the Chicago street course last year, but got caught up in a wreck and then damn near won Watkins Glen, but made a real mistake and got pounced on by Chris Buescher. There's 6 road course races on the Cup schedule in 2025, and I think he'll get 2 of them at least. Where will he win at? I think he gets his second Chicago street course win, and he'll win at Sonoma. Kyle Larson double results will be this. The Coca-Cola 600, I think he'll win the damn race, honestly. If Hendrick has the speed they had last year, I think he wins there. The Indy 500, I think he'll actually run better than he did last year. He's going to be battling for the lead all day and will be one of the contenders for the win, but I think he'll crash trying too hard and finish 30th something. This is Kyle Larson we're talking about here. Yes, ultra talented driver, but he steps over the line a lot and makes mistakes. He's a checker of records type of driver. I think he's going to be faster in the 500 this year because I think they'll trust him to have a more trimmed out car, which means more speed, but harder to hang on to. I remember Larson mentioning that last year that they just wanted him to be super comfortable, so they ended up going for setup not as trimmed out. But shit, he still ran top 10 for a lot of that race, but unfortunately sped on pit road. I don't think he speeds this year, but he'll wreck out after being very fast all day. And by the way, yes, I think the rain will stay away and Larson gets to experience a true double this time around. Kyle Busch will run a Budweiser 8 throwback. Man, if this happens, it's going to be fucking hilarious because you know a lot of Junior Nation is going to have a meltdown. I wouldn't mind if this happens at all, and this is coming from a big Dale Jr. fan. I don't hate Kyle Busch. He's actually one of the guys I've been rooting for over the past half a decade. I'm not bitter about Richmond 2008, something that happened damn near 20 years ago. I would love it if Kyle Busch did this. But as for Junior Nation, it won't sit well with them. Fuck it, don't run it at Darlington, run that scheme at Talladega so we can really see Junior Nation lose it. I'm all for the chaos. On a serious note, it would give me chills seeing the Budweiser 8 scheme in the Cup race again. That would be dope. Jimmy Johnson will miss the Daytona 500. Look man, this year's Daytona 500 entry list is stacked. You got Junior Motorsports entering, Tricon, Trackhouse is entering the 4th car for Helio Castroneves. Unless Legacy Motor Club found some speed during the off season, it's going to be very difficult for Jimmy to make this race. I don't think he's going to lock in on speed, so I'm looking at the duels, and I don't like his chances in that too. I see him missing out after making it into the 500 the past few years. NASCAR will announce this year that Phoenix will not host the championship race starting in 2026, and it's going to be the year where the finale starts to rotate. NASCAR talked about this recently, and it's something that should have been done a while ago, and it would be cool, but I'm also not against having Homestead back into the finale, and it stays as a championship race for NASCAR. Just stop having Phoenix be the championship race for crying out loud. Sheldon Creed will finally win an Xfinity race. Yeah, the Haas factory team probably won't be shit in Cup, but I think in Xfinity they'll be pretty good. For Sheldon Creed, it's a step down because he was just at JGR and well, still couldn't win, but I think that changes in 2025. Sheldon Creed has put himself in position many times to win, and yeah, sometimes he chokes it away, but it's times where things will happen that he can't control. I would like to think that eventually everything will fall into place for him and he'll end up in victory lane in the Xfinity series finally. 2025 will be Daniel Suarez last year with Trackhouse. I like Suarez, but he just isn't doing enough to make people take him seriously. Yes, he won Atlanta last year, but a lot of people will shrug it off and say it's a super speedway win. And honestly, I'm in that camp as well. He'll pop up every now and then running top 10 or even top 5, but he's not consistently doing it like his teammate Ross Chastain. And people may end up saying, well, Suarez made the playoffs in 2024 and Ross didn't. And it's like, come on now. Are we really gonna let this format tell you who truly has performed and who hasn't? I think Suarez is on the hot seat this year. I'm just gonna say it. He won't make any noise. I think he goes winless. Meanwhile, Connor Zilisch, who's signed with Trackhouse, is going to be tearing it up in the Xfinity series, which is just going to persuade Justin Marks to replace Suarez with Zilisch, which I think is going to happen. I hate saying this because once again, I like Daniel Suarez, but I just haven't seen anything from him that proves to me that he's going to be a Trackhouse driver past 2025 unless he majorly turns it around this year. And for my last prediction, drivers I think that will have the most wins in each series in my Final 4 predictions. I think Christopher Bell is going to truly break out this year and lead the Cup League in wins with 7. In Xfinity, Justin Allgaier is coming off of the championship and that's going to put an extra pep in his step. And I don't see him being the typical Justin Allgaier that throws races away. I see him actually winning quite a bit, leading the Xfinity League with 6 wins. And with trucks, Corey Heim is back in the series again, and I don't see anything changing. He's going to remain dominant. I got him leading the series with 8 wins. As for my final 4 in each series, for Cup, Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, Christopher Bell, William Byron. Xfinity, Connor Zilisch, Jesse Love, Austin Hill, Justin Allgaier. And in trucks, Corey Heim, Lane Riggs, Chandler Smith, and Daniel Hemrick. And that's it. There's my 2025 NASCAR predictions. Like always, I'm looking forward to seeing how I fare, which usually ain't great, but who knows? This year I might end up nailing most of these. We'll see how it turns out. I'm curious, what's your 2025 NASCAR predictions, and do you agree with the predictions I made? Let me know in the comments. I'm gonna go ahead and roll up out of here. Y'all have a good one. Peace.